Welcome to this quick tip for beginner guitarists on setting goals. Now, there's a great quote that says, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up there. Okay? That is to say, if you have no plan, you're just going to be lost. Okay? And then you quit and give up. The counterpoint to that is, if you know where you're going, if you know what your goals are, then you may actually end up there. And that's what you want. Okay? So the first tip I'm going to suggest in goal setting is pause this video and write down now all your goals on guitar, whatever that may be. Maybe it's learning an individual song, maybe it's learning an album cover to cover, playing a live performance somewhere, whatever it is. Or maybe it's technical stuff about learning scales and technique. Anything is fair game. So pause the video and write whatever your goals are right now. The next step is for you to identify micro goals that help you access one of those goals on your list. So let's take one example. Let's say you want to learn a song. Well, you can go Google the chords to the song, or if you've got sheet music or a tablature in front of you, then identify whatever the chords are. So the micro goals might be something like this. I will learn one new chord each day until I've learned all the chords for this song. Or maybe it's I'm going to learn one chord a week until I work up to the 3, 5, or 8 chords that are in this song. Okay, so those are little micro goals that you can establish that are kind of check-in points and little wins along the way until you get to the larger goal of learning a song. As another example of a micro goal is I'm a huge Metallica fan, okay, and Metallica and James Hetfield, like friggin' amazing, and how fast and accurately he plays, and Kirk and the whole band, but in particular James Hetfield. It is hard to get there. So you can't start out by saying you're going to play at full tempo, so you might dissect it down and say start at slower tempos, like this. Here's a basic syncopated rhythm that you might do in metal guitar. All right, see, that's sloppy, okay? So I need to slow it down. That's a 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 E and that's the syncopation I'm trying to do with the right hand on this E string. Now let's do 120 beats per minute. 3, 4. Okay, now if that's too hard to handle, then let's slow it down. Let's try 100 beats. Actually, that's 99. 3, 4. Okay, so by using a metronome, that's what I'm using there to take out the beats, I'm forcing myself to slow down so I can establish goals of like, if I can only do it at 100 beats per minute, that's where you're at. And that's perfect. Okay, so don't judge yourself for not being able to play it super fast. And then from there, you can up it to, next week I'm going to do 110 beats per minute, then 120, then 130, or maybe 135. And you start pushing your limit in your comfort zone, and those micro goals will eventually help you get to the larger goal, in that example of playing as fast as James Hetfield. You might also just have general goals, like you just want to learn chords. So try something like, I'm going to learn 2 chords a week for the next month. So that would be 8 chords over the next month. 2 a week, 4 weeks, 8 total chords. Play around with that and just see if that fits in your comfort zone. Not to do with any songs or anything, but just create those little micro wins along the way to help you get to your larger goal. I'm also a really big fan of using a calendar. Okay, so get your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use up and set aside specific practice time that helps you schedule in those micro goals, or maybe you want to spend 2 hours on a Saturday or 2 hours on a Tuesday night, whatever works for you, where you have the free time to do the deep work into the song. Okay, so leverage a calendar and be particularly careful about scheduling in windows you're going to be free. Okay, don't schedule it when you know you're not going to be free and then be like, oh, I didn't have the time. Okay, expect the expected. Okay, you know what's on your calendar if you're looking out a month forward, although some of you may be a little more kind of in the moment, right? And that's totally fine too, but if you really want to get better and you're setting goals and you're pushing yourself, leveraging a calendar and having that level of accountability makes a big difference. Now, as you set those goals from the initial goals you established and brainstormed on, and then you start to set these micro goals, if you tie it to a calendar, man, you're really in business and that can pull it all together. But it comes down to mindset ultimately, and you pushing forward and honoring those goals, okay? And early on, you might find out after 2 weeks or a month, you're like, man, I was a little too ambitious and this is harder. That's okay. That's good information. It's kind of like I'm an engineer by training, but that's an error term, right? You expected a certain result, you didn't get there, there's a gap, that error term. Well, use that information. Be like, gosh, I was too ambitious on this, so in the next week or the next month, however you've established your plan, maybe you kind of ratchet it down a bit, but it still is outside your comfort zone. It still pushes you, but it's more realistic so that, the error term's smaller and your success rate increases. Okay, so you kind of have to view yourself as an experiment, right? Learning guitar is a forum for you to play with yourself, prototype, and figure out, all right, how do I learn? And how do I improve how I learn? And then over time, as you get a certain base, that's like a plateau, that's one level, okay? And then once you get the foundation of chords or rhythm or right hand and left hand integration, then you move up to another plateau. And then you integrate something else and you move up even further to yet another plateau. And so it's like this stair step you're going through over time, okay? And that's what's fun about learning guitar. So when you set those goals and you start to see those successes, that fuels further interest and drive in guitar. That's it for this quick tip for beginner guitarists and guitarists in general, because setting goals are important at any level of the game. If you have any other insights or suggestions, put them in the comments below. Please be polite and respectful. There's a lot of different people at different levels, and we're all in this game together. Also, if you really need some additional resources, especially for beginner guitarists, check out chordsavvy.com. I've got a number of comprehensive courses, other resources there, in addition to other resources here on the channel. All right, so it's all about setting goals, macro goals, micro goals, and honoring it through your own disciplined effort so we all can rock on.